light within my heart, light within my thoughts, light within my words. May one and all and everything, blessed and loved ever be. Welcome. I am Sister Who. So often in this age of television ratings and sensational performances and headline-grabbing headlines that absolutely grab your attention, this competitive sort of societal dynamic, I guess, where everything's about getting attention, everything's competing for greatness, everything wants to be on the pedestal. Look at me most. And there's a sense in which I can understand the whole look at me sort of call, because we all long to be seen. But it doesn't have to be competitively. There's an interdependence between all things that in my doctoral studies, I had to bring out this terminology because I found so many people seem to have completely overlooked it. It's as if people didn't understand that on one hand we have what I call narcissistic individuality, that which the individuality which is selfish, and it's more than just selfish. It's sometimes it doesn't even look selfish, but it's the person whose individuality becomes the definition, the outline of their world, to where what they really need to do is to stop for a moment and consider what life is like for somebody other than themselves. How does life look like? How does daily life look to someone living in India? How does daily life look to someone living in Japan, in South America, in Scandinavia? What does daily life look like? How do families members treat each other in those countries? How is communication done? I was told one of the reasons we have so many expert musicians coming from Asia is because they use tonal languages. And in some of the Asian languages, the pitch at which you say a word sometimes changes the meaning of the word. I mean, it would be like saying apple, 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 and all three of those being three different words, simply by what pitch you say the word. In English, of course, apple means apple, no matter what pitch you say it at. But when you grow up with a language that focuses on pitch so much, it makes your ears much more attentive to whether you're on pitch or off pitch. And so when they address music, of course, they have a natural, well, not a natural aptitude, but an aptitude that has already been nurtured by their own native language, where with English we don't have that. In any case, getting back to the interdependence and the way our context empowers us sometimes. There's this push because of capitalism and our whole market system to be the best. And I don't know that, for me, that it's so much about being the best as simply doing what you can, expressing your creativity in the wisest and most beautiful way you can, and learning as much as you can every step of the way, so that you never stop learning and say, oh, I'm there, I've arrived, I'm the definition of what everyone's supposed to be. That would be stagnation. It would basically tell everyone to stop and go no further, when in fact, for hundreds, even thousands of years, we keep marching forward and discovering more and more new things and more possibilities and more ways of playing music and more musical instruments than we knew existed. And it just never has to end. And in a sense, all this diversity around us gives us infinite opportunity to keep expanding and to keep learning and keep developing. And to me that's incredibly exciting, but of course there's never enough time in anyone's life to cover it all. I could live to be 900 and still not run out of things that I would like to learn and instruments I would like to be able to play and so forth. But it's not about because I believe each of us is a care package from God, it's not about the mastery so much as it is about the participation. That's why I often say the value is not in the skill, it's in the participation. What makes something truly valuable is that you got up and you participated. You didn't just sit there watching someone else do it, but you actually got involved and got in the game and tested your limits, but also worked to expand your limits and to do even more than you could before. As much as a performance may be more harmonic, more perfected through lots of practice, and there's certainly no reason to shy away from that. What makes the performance truly valuable to me, and I think what can make the performance truly valuable to each individual, is simply participating in it. That it's something in which we involve every aspect of our being. We involve our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and we do our very best, and we try to do even better than the last time we did it, to see if we can keep raising the bar for what is our best. And that all happens on a personal level. On a societal level, we can rejoice in each other's participation without insisting that each other be the best, or even suggesting that because you didn't win the race, you deserve to be ignored. That the only ones we pay attention to are the winners, rather than how many people ran and how many different people ran and how many people ran for different reasons. And I saw this remarkable story of a woman on television once who was severely overweight and not only managed to lose the weight and get in good shape, but she even went on to run and to finish the Boston Marathon. The transformation from who she was before to who she was at the finish line was incredible. And I thought she deserved a winning medal far more than the person who finished the race first, because she had accomplished so much more to get to where she was. And ultimately, it wasn't about, and in my opinion, it's not about who won the race, who won the Boston Marathon. It's about everyone who had the determination and the self-discipline to run in the race at all, to get up and do what they could, to be part of what was happening. And I think in some ways it's through talking with all the people who didn't come in first and hearing, so what's your reason for being here today? What's your reason for being here today? And seeing how many reasons there were and what some of those reasons are, and maybe they're running in memory of somebody. Well, tell me about that person. And through common everyday people, simple ordinary people, whatever ordinary means, finding that even the most ordinary is magical, that even the most common is a treasure. And why didn't we see it before? Well, I guess we didn't take the time to ask. So let's start today and take the time to ask. Thinking about this, how each of us in our daily lives can be a light, can be an inspiration, can be the one to say, whoever you are, whoever and whatever you are, it's okay. Just be the most beautiful, wonderful example of that you can be. If you're, if it's about orientation, if it's about gender, if it's about ethnicity, if it's about a vocational choice, a shopkeeper, an engineer, a typist, whatever. As in the words of Abraham Lincoln, whatever you are, be a good one. And don't think that because somebody else has labeled you common or ordinary, that you are there for that reason unimportant. There is something really, really important about each of us being there for each other, and helping each other out, and knowing that in turn others will be there for us. The popular phrase that's come around the last 10 or 20 years of paying it forward, the idea that we invest in each other in order to create a world in which there are more blessings to go around. With my perpetual fondness for metaphors and symbols, I tried to take all this understanding and roll it into a song, and what I came up with was simply a song called Flowers. And in some ways it's a very simple song, and yet it seems to be one that people enjoy. When I recorded it on one of my albums, the gentleman who was doing the recording actually said he thought it needed an echo on a part of the chorus, and unfortunately he's not here with me today to do the echo, but on the album he did, because I said, well, if you hear music there, I'm perfectly okay with you adding your contribution to this album. And so he got to add his voice to the song because of some beauty he heard in it that I wasn't singing, and he heard it in his head, so he got to sing it into the recording. And I was blessed and thankful for his contribution. And I think that's the same kind of gift we can each give to each other. You know, that I'm not here to tell you what your life should be. I'm simply here to add whatever I can to your life being able to blossom as beautifully as possible. And hoping, or trusting, I guess, by doing that, that we will find an ability, with the help of others, to blossom also, and to bring out the very best and most beautiful things within us, even if on first glance they seem to be rather simple things. In any case, the song Flowers. The apple tree and the pumpkin vine bless the world with food. Homes are built with pine and oak and other types of wood. The maple's shade in the summertime keeps the burning heat away. But these blooming weeds along the lane just get in my way. So tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? All they do is bloom and quickly fade away. What is the song that they sing? What sort of beauty do they bring that makes me want to live another day? Yes, tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? To change winter into yet another spring, to make the coldness fade away, to let life come out and play, to let us mystically take hands with you again. The silent bursts of color all along the well-worn trail, the dandelions that persist through drought and storm and hail, the daisies in their simpleness, the frail bloom of the columbine, all these seem to have their place in this bigger world of mine. So tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? All they do is bloom and quickly fade away. What is the song that they sing? What sort of beauty do they bring that makes me want to live another day. Yes, tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? To change winter into yet another spring, to make the coldness fade away, to let life come out and play, to let us mystically take hands with you again. If it weren't for all these tiny blooms, would anyone know how to love? Would beauty be a mystery and not a blessing from above? Would kindness be as scarce as rain in a year of harshest drought? Would all that makes life bearable be things we do without? So tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? All they do is bloom and quickly fade away. What is the song that they sing? What sort of beauty do they bring that makes me want to live another day? Yes, tell me, why did you plant so many flowers? To change winter into yet another spring, to make the coldness fade away, to let life come out and play, to let us mystically take hands with you again. I think the most wondrous thing anyone can witness in the life of another is that moment when the life seems to bloom. I recall reading the words, the script to the play The Elephant Man, the story of John Merrick, a man from, I believe, the 19th century who lived in England and had this horrific deformity in which he became the Elephant Man in a sideshow of a circus, where he was discovered by a psychologist, a physician of some sort. Actually, off the top of my head, I can't remember if he was a psychologist or if he was a medical doctor, but a doctor of some sort, probably a medical doctor, actually. But a medical doctor who was educated also in literature and in understanding people. I mean, it was much more than just the medical condition, because what makes the story compelling, or what made it compelling for him, is when he discovered that this was not just a deformed person, but that this was someone who knew and understood and appreciated literature. There's one point where he had thought he had taught the Elephant Man, John Merrick, how to recite this poem, and at the point at which he was presenting this to a colleague, and the colleague was questioning, all you did was teach him to repeat a bunch of words that he doesn't understand. He's just a freak. And in desperation, trying to get their attention and communicate something for the first time in his life, perhaps recognizing the opportunity had come to him, John Merrick continues saying this verse, and the doctor suddenly looks over at his colleague and says, I didn't teach him this part. And so it begins this relationship where they really begin to learn from each other. And it comes, the play comes to this climax where he goes to the theater and has previously met the actress in this production, and after the production is concluded, and he's sitting up in a box on the second level watching the play, and the actress comes out from behind the curtain and gives this speech about this man who has inspired her, because he has to live with being an anomaly and being ostracized by people because of how differently he looks. And the spotlight swings up to where he is seated in the box watching all of this. And at first he shrinks back because of the negative reaction he's gotten from people before. And the doctor says, "No, it's okay, John, let them see." And he steps forward, and the applause is thunderous. And as everyone is looking at it, they're not shrieking and screaming. They're amazed at the man of vision and passion and intelligence. And to have that spirit inside such a body is just amazing, and I suppose in some sense miraculous that such a body could have a spirit such as that. And he looks at the doctor and he says, "I feel like my whole life was a journey to this moment." And that really stuck with me as I read that when the world finally gives us a chance to blossom and finally gives us a chance to show ourselves, to step into the spotlight. John Merrick did not control the spotlight. He had to wait for it, and when it showed up, it was so unfamiliar he wasn't even certain it was where he belonged, and needed the doctor, his friend, to reassure him that, "No, it's your turn. You can do this." And he stepped forward, and he did not get the negative reaction he expected. He got the reaction that recognized his spirit, rather than the reaction he had previously gotten that recognized only his body. We've been saying forever, don't judge a book by its cover, but we really need to apply that to each other. That, when we meet someone, or even when we've known someone, and they finally find the courage to be honest with us and step into the spotlight and let us see who they really are. And we've always thought of them as this plain, ordinary, common person, with nothing particularly sensational about them. And somehow when we get to know them, and we begin to know what moves their heart, and what stirs their thoughts, and what gives them a desire to try, even when everything suggests that they will fail, to have the determination and the courage and the confidence to try. To give them that spotlight and see the part of them that we've been overlooking all this time. I suppose there is nothing on earth more common than humanity at this point, because of how overpopulated earth has become. And that's something that needs to be addressed also. But let us not allow that problem to blind us to the specialness that can still be found within each person, even the most plain and ordinary looking people. And even, dare I say it, within the most broken people, that if we can somehow get past all the scars and all the wounding and all the difficulties and all the negative examples they've seen and the horrific ways they've been taught to behave, to understand that they too have the ability to bloom, and that somewhere in this meadow of flowers that covers the entire planet, there is a place for their bloom to be counted among the rest. When I hike to high alpine meadows in the summertime and see, mile after mile of flowers, and trying to imagine what it is to be one individual flower in the midst of all that, and understanding that even when you're surrounded by that much beauty, and that all of those individual points of beauty that may even be overlooked because there's so many others, that it's having all of them together that makes the whole meadow beautiful, that creates a brush stroke across the side of the mountain bigger than any of them could ever manage individually. But it depends upon each individual flower reaching up and blooming in the most beautiful and wise and effective way they possibly can. And that it also means each flower around them allowing them that space, allowing them the rain and the soil and whatever it is that they need to bloom, so that the individuality is relational. It's not just narcissistic and selfish and self-centered and aware of only the self. It's aware of being a self in the midst of a community of selves and of being in relationship to those other individuals. It's aware of being not just a flower, but a flower in a meadow that is filled with flowers, and the beauty of the meadow being all the more increased by the abundance of flowers within it, and that if you begin taking the flowers out of it, the beauty of the meadow will be similarly decreased. So I thank you for being with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the song. I more than enjoyed it, though, I hope you found something in the song that encourages you to bloom within whatever circumstances you find yourself, to find that spontaneous, unexpected way of being beautiful, even there, wherever you are, and to let that be your gift to the world today. Thank you for watching.